So when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a wrestler. I mean, not just me. I'm pretty sure a lot of people, a lot of kids wanted to be a wrestler because wrestler was really, really, really something else back then. It was so popular, everybody talking about it in the classroom. Wrestling was so cool back then. I'm not sure about now. I mean, I don't know what these kids watch these days, but it used to be number one back then. So I always dreamed to become a wrestler. Of course, that's a boy's dream. A boy's dream is no best for a man's life. There's a saying. So I remember me and my cousin, we used to play wrestling all the time. Every time we meet, there's a wrestling match. I mean, we used to team up and we used to play with the pillows and the toys, the tigers, the teddy bears. So they were our opponent back then. It was really fun, all the moves we did. So back then, it was just the moves. We didn't know anything about wrestling. It was just, the characters. We believed in the stories. We believed whatever they told us, whatever they showed us. And, the Undertaker and Kane. I mean, Kane was buried alive. And we used to be shocked because we believed it, right? I mean, now everybody knows it's not real. It's a stage. But, I mean, it's different how I see wrestling these days. I mean, it's not just the in-ring action. It's the drama. It's the backstage. It's the story. It's the character. It's the plot. The plot is the heels, the face, the baby face, the good guy, the bad guy, all these stories, the characters, good characters turning bad, betrayal. So these days, that's what is more interesting when I watch wrestling. It's called pro wrestling, by the way. It's not a sport, it's entertainment. A lot of people get confused, like, this is fake, why are you watching this? The wrestling, it gets bashed a lot these days. And the people who used to watch wrestling back then, they felt like they got cheated because they believed it was real. And then now everybody knows it's not real. And then they were like, they are like, we were fooled back then. We were made fun of. They made us look so stupid, But that's not it. I mean, that's how it has been narrated now. But that's not the case. I mean, it was days, of course. So I was talking about my story of a childhood dream that I wanted to be a wrestler, The dream is still alive. I mean, deep down inside, there's still this boy who probably wants to be a wrestler. I mean, when you see me do crazy things, when you see me do, say crazy stuff, I think that's the wrestler in me trying to come out, cutting promos. That's what it's called. Cutting a promo. A promo is like a scene where they come in the TV, they come in the stage. The stage is the ring, by the way. So they come in the stage and they get the microphone and then they speak. That's what cutting a promo is. It's very important in wrestling. It's like you're telling your story. So you're portraying a character. And the things they say in the ring, so crazy, so dramatic, charismatic, some of them. I mean, not all of them are very good at mic. But in wrestling, you gotta be very good at mic. Gotta have very good miking skill. Because people cannot connect with you as a wrestler, as a character, if you cannot speak well, if you cannot, portray your character well. And that's what's more interesting to me these days when you're watching a wrestling. It's not just a wrestling match. It's like very long-term story, long build-up. And they're setting it up. Sometimes they set it up, the creative department, of course, in the wrestling. They know the marketing, what crowd wants, what the audience want, and you gotta shop with the audience. So sometimes you don't give the audience what they want. You just shock them, surprise them, and you get booed. The wrestlers and the whole company. They're like, we didn't want this, we wanted this, but you did that. But they still come back to see what happens next. And that's where they are very good at, like playing with the audience, their expectation. Sometimes you give audience what they want and make them happy, and sometimes you don't give them what they want. You want them to boo you. You want them to get a reaction. So no matter what, you gotta get the reaction from the audience, right? It's not like the wrestlers, they don't care if the audience like them or not until and unless the crowds are silent. So that's when you're failing in wrestling. Either way, whether they like you or whether they don't like you, you gotta get them to react. That's more important in wrestling. So it doesn't matter what kind of character you're playing. I mean, you're supposed to play certain characters. Sometimes you're the good guy, sometimes you're the bad guy. Sometimes you're supposed to, put a smile on the crowd's face. That's your job. Sometimes it's your job to make sure that all the people in the audience hate you for what you say, for what you do. So, yeah, basically that's it. I just wanted to share how big influence wrestling has on my life. The way I am, the way I talk sometimes, my sense of humor. I think the wrestling has certainly influenced me in being a man that I am today. So this is just a random video. I think I'm gonna start the video now.